What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John, back again. I wanted to say thank you for all the love and support recently, especially I mentioned about it being a granddad birthday meal. Granddad's he passed away a couple of years ago, so we went out for his 80th birthday, bless him, and it would have been his 80th today. So all the comments were very lovely, so thank you guys, always appreciate it. John.
Michael.
Let's talk about Everton Football Club. Let's talk about Minte, Philogene, and Ben Godfrey.
Right.
Let's start with Minte, which is now going to Brighton.
Yeah, I mean, we were excited for this one. Apparently it was going to be something like up to £40 million as club wanted for him. It looks now that he's moved to Brighton for no more than 30 million. I think the problem we've had in this transfer window, and you alluded to it the other day when we were speaking about, we've been linked with these players, but we haven't really done anything. You know, apparently Ndai had a medical the other day, but that's gone quiet. And probably the way it's going to work out is probably nothing will happen until from the 1st of July onwards. So I think what we had to be careful of with PSR is probably through a spanner in the works for Minte going to Brighton. I think that's probably added to the fact that he's gone there instead of coming to Everton. I also did say to you, maybe this is possibly why we've been linked with the whole winger, probably like a plan B, an option number 2. So obviously if he's going to Brighton, I think Everton now will push for the whole winger.
Yeah, I think you are right, and I think it's interesting. I think Ndai will probably get announced on the 1st of July as an Everton player, and then he'll fall into the next period. I think the thing that irritates me is they do build your hopes up, and I get it. Look, we haven't even got an owner technically apart from Mashiri, and I can't imagine him putting money in, so I shouldn't be getting too excited, really, should I? But Ndai will be a good signing. You know, we've got Harrison back as well, which is a positive. So, you know, we're okay. It just, you know, we've got the Minte thing and the players that we had been linked with. You know, even in the Greaves lad at Hull as well. You know, we haven't just been linked with Philogene at Hull. We've also been linked with Greaves. We've been linked with that Jake O'Brien in France. We've been linked with these players who are good players, but obviously because of the June thing and the fact that Everton really probably can't spend much money until this new owner comes in, I think we've probably got a little bit too excited before we probably should have. I think it was probably more of a swap deal, and I think swap deals, to be honest, I think swap deals is potentially what Everton might do for a lot of the summer because, you know, we may have to do that because we haven't got the liquid cash at this moment in time. The one thing I did want to mention about this Minte deal, John, and I don't know if you agree with this, because I'm not all for blasting a player. You know me. If there's things behind the scenes that I don't know about, then I don't tend to go and blast players knowing. But apparently, this Minte deal fell through because Calvert-Lewin wouldn't accept the terms that Newcastle were offering him. And that's disappointing in a player that's only got a year left. I get he's got to concentrate on himself. But it is disappointing, that the deal may potentially have fallen through simply because Lewin wanted more money.
Well, I think we've said on here a few times, the contract for Calvert-Lewin has been on the table at Everton for quite a few good months now. Whether the figures are to be believed, he wanted 120, 130, 140,000 pounds a week. I've seen all them figures banded about. So obviously he's going to want the same sort of money to not sign for Everton and move clubs to Newcastle. So obviously they pulled out the deal because of his financial demands. Now, we spoke about this. Players have to look after themselves. They do have a short career. But I think he's got a cheek when he's got 12 months left on his contract, when we spoke about figures the other day, when we said he'd scored 54 goals in 8 years. Now, for me, there's no way I'd be giving any player between 120 and 140,000 pound a week when they've only got a goal scoring record like that. So if he wants to move to another club and earn them sort of wages, then he's got to prove it. He's got to prove he's worth that. And for me, 54 goals in 8 years doesn't strike me as someone who should warrant between 120 and 140,000 pound a week.
No, he shouldn't. And I think the other thing for me is as well, he went 24 or 25 games last season without scoring a goal. So it's Everton have kept with him, kept faith with him. Look, I like Calvert-Lewin. I'm not going to sit here and absolutely destroy the lad, because I do like Lewin. And if I'm being honest, I'd rather keep him. But I can't sit there and be happy when there's the chance to sign a 19-year-old, really talented winger who was really good last season. We have missed out on him potentially because of him. This, especially when he doesn't want to play for the club, it is the impression I'm getting.
Well, a 19-year-old winger coming in is only going to get a quarter of them sort of wages, Michael, and he'd be happy to take that. You know, Mensah would have been happy with a quarter of them wages. Sign a 3-year contract. He might have a worldie the first season and a half. Then you give him a contract extension and up his wages a bit because he's obviously he will have warranted a pay rise.
Yeah.
I don't see how Calvert-Lewin warrants a pay rise. Now, you know, people might come on to the comments and go, well, you know, you're saying he's only scored that many goals in 8 years, but he's had injuries. He hasn't had injuries for 8 years, and I think you worked out the other day how many goals on a season that averaged. I can't remember what you said, Matt. 8 goals a season. Now, no player who plays up front should be getting between 120 and 140,000 pounds a week when they're averaging 8 goals a season. And then probably the last 3 or 4 years with the injury record he's got. Now, I have said on here, Dyche managed his injuries well last season, and we did see more of Calvert-Lewin. But he didn't score a shed loads more goals. He didn't average a shed loads more goals than what he has when he was fit. So for me, if he doesn't want to be at the club, and I've said that on here, I'm not bothered who it is. I couldn't care if he's the best player at the club. If he doesn't want to be at the club and he can't agree a deal, basically, when he's asking for wages like that, Michael, he's hoping he'll get a move. He doesn't want to be at the club. I don't want players at Everton Football Club who don't want to be here, whether it's Jared Branthwaite, whether it's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. If they want to move on, let them move on, because I don't like to see unhappy players at a club because they're not going to give it 100%. We need players to pull that blue shirt on for what we've gone through the last couple of years, who will give 100% week in and week out. When you've got unhappy players at the club, they won't do it. So show them the door, get what you can for them. And we also said on here before about we need to stop giving players stupid wages. We need to get away from the Steve Walsh days and the Ronald Koeman days where you give a Michael Keane massive wages and Yerry Mina and Andre Gomez. We need to stop that. We need to get the right people on board to sort contracts out and give the players what they deserve and nothing more, because we can't afford to be in that situation again.
Yeah, I think as well, when you look at the bigger picture, Everton actually, in terms of wages and things, we're not necessarily in a bad shape, but
we're not now. But we were. We were.
Absolutely. But when you look at some of the players, and you are right to say that, when you look at some of the wages some of these players are on, it's absolutely unbelievable, because Mason Holgate's on £72,000 a week. Michael Keane is on £85,000 a week. You know, these players can't get a game at Everton. It's shocking. Anyway, right. It is what it is. We've missed out on him. He's signing for Brighton unless an absolute miracle happens, or he's already signed, potentially, I don't know. The other player we've been linked with, and we mentioned, was Jaden Philogene. And he is an ex-Aston Villa sort of academy player, I believe. went to Hull last season. Villa didn't want to sell him, but I think he wanted first-team football. He's been phenomenal for Hull. Scored an unbelievable Rabona last season. I spoke about it a couple of videos ago. But then rumours today come out that Barcelona are interested in him. And I mean, in the nicest will in the world, I believe Everton Football Club are the best team in the world. But I don't think we can compete with Barcelona, John.
We can't compete with Barcelona. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I knew he'd been linked with a club today, and I couldn't think who it was. What he's got to look at this stage of his career when he's 19 is he's got a long career ahead of him. He's got all the time in the world to go and play for a massive, massive club in another country in Barcelona. Now, if he and I know some players have done it. I think Bellingham went to Real Madrid at a young age. You know, he succeeded. But it doesn't always work out like that. For me, his agent probably needs to say to him, look, just hang around the Premier League for 2 or 3 years. Don't make the big jump yet. You know, treat him well. His agent's got to treat him well now and say the right things to him. And I'm not just saying this because I want Everton to sign him. I'd say it about any young kid who's been linked with any other club, but then a massive club. It's a massive, massive, massive move. Now, he's brilliant for Hull. Absolutely fantastic. That goal he scored was a worldie. I've watched videos on him. He's direct. He can take people on. He's good with the ball at his feet. Brilliant. I would stick around in the English football for a bit longer yet before he makes that massive move, because to go from Hull to Barcelona without sort of, I'm going to say it, probably using Everton as a stepping stone, but that's what players do now. They use clubs as stepping stones. Amadou Onana's probably done it. People know my feelings on him, but he's probably going to get a big move. I think he should just stick around. He's got long time. He's probably got another 10, 15 years to go in his career. Got plenty of time to go to Barcelona. Just come to Everton, play your trade in the Premier League for a couple of years and see where you are then, because I think it'd be a big, big move for him at such a young age from Hull to that. Yeah,
I'm just going to very briefly, because I want to end the video on one particular point, but I'm just going to very briefly talk about Ben Godfrey. We've already spoke about him, so we don't have to overkill this, but the deal's done, confirmed, finished. He's an Atlanta player. As we both said in the video previous when we were on, we wished him the best of luck. And I do wish him the best of luck, absolutely. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't wish it was somebody like Holgate or Michael Keane, because I must say, I know Ben Godfrey's in the same boat as Calvert-Lewin in terms of not signing a deal. I get that. But I did like Ben. I must say I did like Ben.
I think the problem you've got with Ben Godfrey, you and I know, and everyone who's watching this knows, that Ben Godfrey is better than Michael Keane and Mason Holgate. The problem Everton have got is shifting Michael Keane and Mason Holgate. You know, Holgate went to Southampton on loan. I think his loan deal was cut short, if I'm right in saying. You know, as you say, Michael Keane's sitting there on 85 grand a week, getting splinters in his arse because he doesn't get a game. But when you've got players of the quality, and I'm going to say he's got quality because I think he is a good player. We spoke about him before. As I say, you don't want to talk about it in length, but people know that Ben Godfrey had more good games than bad games. So clubs will come after him. Whereas the problem we've got is not many clubs are going to come in for Holgate and Keane.
I think that's a fair comment. And I want to end the video with this, and I'm going to let you go on this. I'm not going to say anything. This is you, this. Jim Ratcliffe.
Oh, what a tosser. Right. So I'm assuming everyone's seen the video of him going around doing an interview saying that the Big Six cartel should basically be looked after. Basically what he's saying is he should be looked after better than the 14 other teams in the Premier League, because that's what everyone watches. Television abroad, everyone watches Sky. No disrespect to some of the lesser teams, but no one will rush home from work to watch, I don't know, Burnley versus Sheffield United, for example. So what he's on about, and I think he's come into this Premier League thinking he's Billy Big Bollocks. He's going to get a lot of enemies from all the clubs, the way he's speaking, from the other 14 clubs anyway. People won't want to deal with him. He's come in, throwing his weight around. He's been in the Premier League for 5 minutes. He's moved to Monaco, so he doesn't have to pay tax. But yet he's got the cheek to ask the government and us as taxpayers to build the Wembley of the North and build Man United a new stadium. I'm sorry, mate, it doesn't work like that. You've been in the league 5 minutes and you're throwing your weight around. I think the comments you've come out with since you've been here, disrespecting especially Everton, and you've now disrespected the other 14 clubs in the Premier League with your comment of the cartel of 6 should be looked after more than the other 14. Sorry, mate, it doesn't work like that. And I hope they won't, because we know what the Premier League are like. But I just wish and hope that the Premier League would ask for answers from that interview and from the comments he made from that interview of what he actually meant. And he needs knocking down a peg. I hope clubs refuse to do business with Man United. I hope Everton don't crumble and let Jared Brantwaite go to Man United, because the man is an absolute tool, the way he's come across in the interview, in the comments about Everton Football Club. I'm telling you now, I don't like him, and he's only been in the Premier League for 5 minutes, and I despise the man.
I've heard all this before, guys, and I completely agree with John. So I thought, while John's ranting, I'll go and sort out my dinner. I think that's enough. I think that's it. There really isn't much of an update in terms of Everton at the minute.
Hoping things will start moving this week once the 1st of July kicks in.
Yeah. So I think Endai will be announced tomorrow. So I think we can do a video with a little bit more detail around him. But guys, June has been a phenomenal month for the channel. Your support and your love, your subscriptions have been incredible. Keep pressing, sharing and liking, because you're really, really helping us out. But literally, I think we're like 25 subs away from 13,700. And I set you a challenge of 14,000 by the middle of July. So phenomenal. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. Me and John will keep doing what we're doing. And we'll see you soon. Yeah? Yeah? John, are you going to be back? You'll be back, won't you?
I'll be back once again like a renegade master tomorrow with an update on Endai, and hopefully we start talks with Ndidi.
Brilliant. There you go. Up the toughies. Peace, everyone.